Hello again, YouTube. In light of recent news events, I figured that I would make yet another frivolous video about movies and movie trailers and speculating on movies that hadn't even been released yet. So there were 3 trailers that came out recently that I wanted to talk about. The Star Wars Episode 7 second trailer, the Terminator Genisys trailer, and the Batman vs. Superman trailer. Now, the Star Wars trailer, if I haven't said this already, I'm pretty much at the point where I'm willing to give the movie a chance, and I think it's one of those movies that I would like to see in the theater, so I'll be there seeing it in the theater in December. And pretty much everything else beyond that doesn't matter that much to me. However, I will say a couple things. Number one is that I don't know how many of you read the spoilers or alleged spoilers / leaks about the movie that were released on the internet a couple months back, but I noticed, having read those spoiler leaks, whatever you want to call them, a couple things in the trailer which made me think that those spoilers might actually have some truth to them. And I remember when I was a teenager very much excited for the X-Files Fight the Future to be released in theaters, finding spoilers on the internet that pretty much described the entire plot of the movie before I saw it. So I'm not going to go into detail. Some of you might not have read those or might not want to hear that, but if you have read those alleged internet spoilers and you saw the trailer, did you notice what I noticed, and do you agree? You don't have to get specific, or you can put a spoiler alert tag on your comment, but tell me whether or not you thought that what you saw in this second trailer gave credence to the alleged spoilers. The second thing is that every time the public gets, the attention of the public is on the new Star Wars movie, there's always these grumblings of people who talk about J.J. Abrams, and there's still people bitter about how allegedly terrible the 2008 Star Trek reboot was, and Star Trek Into Darkness that followed that. And I don't think I've talked about this before. Maybe I did on a video on a separate channel, a video that I called Disney Saves Star Wars from George Lucas. But I think that The Onion puts it best in one of my all-time favorite Onion videos, to be honest. In their video called Trekkies Bash New Star Trek Film as, quote, fun watchable. And I think that video, which I'll put a link to in the description, and if I'm not too lazy, I'll make a link here on the screen, pretty much sums it up. Star Trek, as much as I love Star Trek, and I do, it's one of my, I remember seeing Star Trek The Next Generation in its first season when I was like 3.5 years old, and I've been a fan of Star Trek ever since. So for nearly 30 years of my life now, I've liked Star Trek. But at the same time, I realized that a big Hollywood popcorn movie can't necessarily have the same sort of intellectual, things that the show did. And I don't really expect it to. I saw the rebooted movie, the 2008 reboot in the theaters. I enjoyed it at the time, but it didn't totally blow me away, and I was just kind of like, all right. And I don't recall, I think I saw parts of it when my roommates were watching it one time, but I don't think that I've watched it all the way through since. I did not see Star Trek Into Darkness in the theater, although I wanted to. I just never got around to it. I ended up renting it. And that was all right. I could see a lot of the plot holes people were talking about. But here's the thing. Star Wars is not Star Trek, and it never was. It does not have this sort of intellectual or philosophical, ethical content that Star Trek had or attempted to have, to be vacuumed out of it to make a Hollywood movie. If you're honest with yourself, and I'm sorry to tell you this, Star Trek fans, or Star Wars fans, I should say, Star Wars was never really all that deep, and it was never intended to be. It was supposed to be a Hollywood action, Western in space opera type movie. And that's not to say that it couldn't be poorly written. I think that in a certain way, to not just, I don't want to go for the billionth time into the prequels, but perhaps the prequels were, let's say, a little light on fun and a little heavy on pseudo political machinations like council meetings, attempting to be all, we're going to show political machinations and the rise of the empire, along with other issues, kind of killed the fun of it. So if J.J. Abrams is able to get back to basics, as it were, with Star Wars, it may not capture the quote-unquote magic of the original trilogy, but it will at least be a much-needed step in the right direction of rehabilitating the franchise to what it should be. I personally think that J.J. Abrams is probably the best choice for directing, the new Star Wars movie. So the people who say, oh my god, he ruined the Star Wars, he ruined the Star Trek reboot, well, try and put it in perspective. Yeah, the Star Trek reboot might not have been all that true to the spirit of previous incarnations of the franchise, but what exactly is there in the Star Wars franchise for him to vacuum out to make into a Hollywood action movie? All right, next trailer, the Batman versus Superman trailer. This is a movie I am not going to see in the theater. I'm pretty much fool me once, go fuck yourself sort of person when it comes to modern big budget Hollywood movies like this. And I might eventually rent it from Redbox or something like that, whatever. Or if it comes on Netflix, something like that. But the Screen Junkies channel, and when they were discussing it, said that the trailer didn't really tell them much. All right, this is what I think the movie's going to be. I actually think the trailer told quite a lot. So if you didn't see the trailer, it starts out with all of these voiceovers as it slowly pans towards a statue of Superman, and the voiceovers are questioning the whole idea of Superman. Is he a threat? Are people too eager to worship him? And then you hear the voice of the actor who's playing Lex Luthor saying that, we know better now. We know that demons don't come from below, they come from the sky. So here's the thing. So Superman's going to be this controversial figure. He's got all this power. Should we trust him? Should we not trust him? Who is this guy? Lex Luthor's probably, or almost certainly, behind the scenes, making people fear and distrust Superman, running a PR campaign against him. And then comes in Bruce Wayne / Batman, and of course he's like, I'm the savior of Gotham, I'm defender of humanity, who is this? Batman's got control issues, so he wants to be the one to challenge Superman. Probably believes he's the only one who can. And so for part of the movie, Batman and Superman are going to be against each other, and this is probably going to be something that Lex Luthor helps to instigate. And then I'm guessing Wonder Woman's going to come along and be like, you guys are like boys with toys fighting each other. You need to team up and fight the other enemy. And then it go like, yeah, we should listen to her. Yeah, we should totally fight whatever the bad guy is in this movie. And then there's probably going to be the obligatory introduction of kryptonite, which is going to be used against Superman. And then Batman's going to be like, oh, I gotta save Superman. And, other people like Aquaman are going to be like, hey, I'm here making my obligatory cameo to set up my character for the next movie. And, it will end in the predictable way that most Hollywood action movies do of this sort. And yeah, that's my prediction for the overall plot. Terminator Genisys. I was actually interested in this movie until I saw the second trailer, and now I'm much more skeptical. I think you should see the two trailers for yourself. It's almost hard to describe, but here's the thing. Judging from the first trailer, it was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. They're putting a new spin on the franchise and creating, I guess, what you might say, a new timeline, sort of, in a way, kind of retconning the other movies. the subsequent movies. But the second trailer, and you'll have to see this for yourself to understand what I'm talking about, reveals a new element of the story, which makes me think that this is going to be a bloated and convoluted plot that is probably going to be riddled with holes. And I saw the third movie in the theater back in the day, and it was disappointing, having, loved the other two movies, especially the second movie, as a kid. So honestly, the second trailer I've dialed down my expectations because I think it's taken some of the mystery out of the plot. Another trailer that I saw that I am excited for, because it's James Bond, and I just have to see this movie regardless, is the trailer for Spectre. It doesn't really give much away, but I'm certainly interested in seeing that. That's, again, coming out in November, December. A lot of movies coming. The Star Wars, Spectre, and the new Hunger Games movie are all coming out within like a month of each other. And I'll probably go see all of those in the theater. And then at the end of this week, probably the day after I upload this video, the new Age of Ultron, the second Avengers movie, is coming out. And I have to say, I never really talked about this in a video previously, but I saw the Avengers, I think it came out the May of whatever year it came out. I saw it in like December of that year, rented it from Redbox. And am I the only one who was sort of disappointed and underwhelmed? I wouldn't say disappointed because I don't really have expectations, but underwhelmed by that movie. I'm not saying it was a bad movie. I'm just saying that there were a lot of people who were like, oh my God, this movie was awesome, and blah, blah. I was kind of like, it was all right. And so I'm really on the fence about whether or not I'm going to go see the new Avengers movie in the theater, because part of me thinks that, given the fact that I watched the first Avengers movie on a television rather than a movie screen, that might have affected my experience, and it seems like the sort of movie that would be better to see at a movie theater. I'm sure some of you must know what I'm talking about if you go to the movies a lot, that there are movies that are worth seeing in the theater, but they're almost not worth rewatching on a television. Like, I saw Captain America in the theater in for some whatever stupid reason, saw the movie in 3D with some of my friends, and I enjoyed it at the time. I don't think I'll ever rewatch that movie unless it just happens, like I'm at somebody's house and they're like, we're going to watch Captain America, although that seems like a strange movie choice to pick, considering that it's not particularly remarkable. I guess really most of the Marvel movies I haven't been super impressed with, maybe because I'm not that into the characters from the comics. And I haven't seen all of them. The second Thor movie, the second Captain America movie, the third Iron Man movie, and maybe there's one or two others that I haven't seen. So I haven't seen those. But I guess what I'm going to do is wait and see what the reviews are like. And if people say this is great, then maybe I'll go see the movie in the theater. And if people are kind of like meh, I'll be like, I'll save this for my television and when it comes out on home release. So let me see, what other movies are coming out that I want to see? Jurassic World, kind of on the fence about that one, but I might see it in the theater. Other movies, I just looked at a list the other day of like, the 15 most anticipated movies, the 25 most anticipated movies. I'm like, I want to see like 10 of these. And I can't think of any others. So that's going to be it for this video. Tell me which movies you are excited to see this year. Any movies that you watched recently that you would recommend, and so on and so forth. Have a nice whatever time it is. Goodbye.